global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news.
Hello and welcome back to our channel. Why there has been so much outcry over the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State, former governors have spoken, elder statesmen from Rivers State have spoken, and the likes of senators, sitting senators have spoken, former governors, former president have spoken, all against the declaration of the state. MBAs, senior advocates of Nigeria, and of course human rights activists. But as we speak, the former chairman of Fubar, who happened to be the former chairman of Wike'chairman, have decided to send a strong message. And this time around, he's not talking. He's going very practical. It's best to see the video yourself as he goes on a town movement insisting on this. Please do watch the video. We'll come back as to tell you exactly what transpired in the Senate and what a top senator and a former governor who unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, was in the plenary when they were doing the so-called voice recording, what transpired. And while we may think Akpabio may be in another form of disagreement here and there, apart from the Natasha issue. Let's watch this video. All right, welcome back. You can see that the vibes are still very strong, still very on, and Chijioke Hyowo is not letting the spirit of simplified movement and Fubar's mandate to slide, even in the home of Martin Mohile, even in the backyard of Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister. He's still standing strong. Now let's find out what transpired and why Tambuwal is exposing how the Senate approved Rivers emergency rule. Now, according to the former governor of Sokoto State, Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal has insisted that the Senate failed to meet the constitutional two-thirds majority required to approve President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's proclamation of a state of emergency in Rivers State. This is deep. And the Senate, in a closed session as at last Thursday, deliberated on the president's proclamation and later approved it during plenary through a voice vote. However, Tambuwal, who represents Sokoto South in the 10th Senate, argued that the necessary two-thirds majority, which is 73 out of the 109 senators, was not met thereby violating Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Now, Section 305 of the Constitution is very clear and unambiguous on how a state of emergency should be declared and the legislative process required, Tambuwal said. Now, according to him, the Constitution mandates that at least 2/3 of the Senate or the House of Representatives must approve such a resolution. I observed that there were not enough senators present to meet the constitutional requirement. From what I saw, there was no such number on the floor on that day, he said. Tambuwal further criticized the National Assembly for failing to follow past precedent, citing previous emergency declarations under President Olusegun Obasanjo and Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, which adhere strictly to constitutional requirements. What stops the current National Assembly from making reference to its own precedents that are in its records? I can't understand that, he remarked. His statement raises questions about the legitimacy of the Senate's approval and whether due process was followed in proclaiming a state of emergency in Rivers. Colleagues in the House, what a take on what transpired in the Senate and, of course, what Hyowo is doing right now in the community of Obiobo.
Well, that is where we have found ourselves in Nigeria as a country. Unfortunately, nothing stands again. There's no consistency. And because of that, we are losing our democratic values every day. No consistency in any practice. What is in the Constitution seems not to have, I would say it seems not to have the real respect it should have. And I also want to blame the legislatures who stage a walkout. If this kind of a thing happens and you immediately go to the court and record the scenario and say these are the number of persons who were not available during that particular reason, for that reason it stands down, I think that the judiciary will align with it, because there is no place in the Constitution where the Constitution talked about the issue of voice note. He said 2/3 majority, which is by voting. There must be a counting. If the Constitution says 2/3 majority will carry the day, it therefore means whatever number that is in the House, 2/3 of it must be used, and which therefore means anything below 2/3 is invalidated. So it is your position as a legislature or as a lawmaker to approach the court and then sanction it and say that particular reason that was being that particular state of emergency request by the court, which was approved, it was not in sync with the provision of the Constitution, and then bring forth your proofs. If all the other distinct legislatures decides to pen down, all of them are part of the plaintiff or the complainants who are rolling it out, there is no way the court will not align with it. That is the position.
One question. The judiciary have a way of disciplining their erring officers, judicial officers. Is there no way that the senators have a way of also self-correcting and self-checking themselves, since they're an arm? They wouldn't want to relegate their powers to the judiciary, because going to the judiciary and beginning to lay your complaint and evidence, don't you think that even the judiciary, if they decide to do anything, they can actually throw away your file on lacking merit, and you can't do anything?
One of the things that we must accept in Nigeria is that the wrong guys are on board. But do everything so that tomorrow when they stand out and you say, shut up, you don't even have the right to talk. Because in your days, these were the things you did. Why did we take you to court? Also, going to the judiciary, who are judiciary? Judiciary is one of the arm of the government, and their responsibility is interpreting the law, interpreting the Constitution. That's their responsibility. The legislature, their own is to make it. So approaching the law court is, you are not trying to give up your right to them. Of course, no. Of course, no. Going to them is you're trying to let them interpret this thing, because we are seeing some fraudulent way of approaching certain provision of the Constitution. You approach them and you let them understand your position. I believe that if you want to handle that case inside the legislature, because they are the majority, you see it will result to infighting, unnecessary quarreling, and all of that, which for most of them, it's a way you are messing up, that particular assembly. So that's some of the reasons why, they may not want to handle it in there. Drag them outside. Let everybody see what's going on.
Now you said something, and I want to, buffer on that. The fact that we are here today on this issue of the legislature and all that is not because the Supreme Court said that Fubar did not follow due diligence, and in fact, because he was scared of being impeached, burnt down the Rivers State Assembly, and said they literally opposed all the prayers of Fubar. That is how we got to this level. It's because even the Supreme Court interpreted what they had with them.
No, this is a case of, according to the Constitution, two-thirds majority are supposed to vote. And two-thirds majority, the people that were there who used voice note, were not even up to two-thirds majority. That is what you are really hammering on. You're not hammering on the state of emergency. The president even have the right to come out and say all Nigerians are now slaves. They should put it in the Constitution that all Nigerians are now slaves. It is a request I'm forwarding to the House of Assembly that from today henceforth, everybody needs to go on with a chain on his neck with my name on it. It is the place of this thing to say, no, we cannot vote. That's not right, because according to the Constitution and in the floor of this thing, Senate, they will vote there. So this situation, all what it demanded was just a vote. And if they counter the process through which they will reach that particular approval for the request of the president or disapproval, it is dependent on the vote. So if all of you have decided to stage a walkout and you know that the numbers are not enough, you drag them to court and say, Senate President is trampling on the Constitution of Nigeria. This is what the provision of the Constitution say in respect to this kind of thing. And we are not aligning with it. This way, the number of people who were present that day. Calculation is not something that is difficult to calculate. Let the judiciary do whatever they are going to do. But at the end of the day, you have exonerated yourself that you didn't stand with them. Closing your mouth means we are going to watch our country nosedive on a daily basis, just like what we are seeing today.
Wow, that's so good to wrap it up. Let's meet in our conversation and wisdom. What's your take? Have a nice day.